Now, let me explain to you what a monstrosity is. So a monstrosity is when I opt to go 10 days without shaving this beard. A monstrosity is when I go outside, I take my dog out for a walk, I let her shit willingly in front of someone's garden and don't pick her up. That is a monstrosity. What is also a monstrosity is if you opted to tune in at 3 o'clock today into any illegal websites or alternative streaming platforms to tune into Liverpool versus Brighton, and what you would have seen is the true definition of a monstrosity. So if you was wondering on what the word monstrosity is, then now you've learned a new word. There you go. Leave a like for education. Anyway, I am absolutely not surprised. What do you want me to say? Do you want me to say I'm angry? Do you want me to say I'm devastated? I am both of those things, but I have been those things. So all this time where I've been getting called negative even got me to a point, because listen, I am a big advocate for not putting a heavy sense of value on other people's opinions or the majority of people's opinions, because you'll tend to notice the majority can be wrong in many different senses in real life and in football. And when I'm going into the season and I see how we play in the first part of the game and I see how we play before the World Cup, and yes, we're getting a few more wins but still playing abysmal, and then you see fans saying like Salah, oh no, but don't worry blood, because Salah's getting goals, Salah's having a flop season but he's still got 10 goals, but yet they will forget what their eyes have witnessed for the previous 90 minutes. Okay, let's break it down. What's the main... I'm not even going to talk about the game. We know it was crap. Let's break down what's the problem, because you might have expected me to click on this video and go FSG out. You might have expected me to click on this video and say Klopp is the problem or the players are the problem. Let's look into the mirror for one moment. I'm a Liverpool fan. A lot of the people who tune in to this channel are Liverpool fans, and whether we like it or we don't, we are the ones to blame for this nonsense. And the reason why we're the ones to blame is because the same FSG tried to hire the ticket prices back in 2015, maybe 16, I'm not too sure. Either way, the Sunderland game. What did Liverpool fans do? They used their voice and they got that changed. What happens when Hicks and Gillette were doing their madness? Liverpool fans got together and made that change. What's one thing we've just learned off those two examples is that Liverpool fans can have an influence on ownership, can have an influence on how the top is run, can have an influence on the expectations of the football club, and will not allow people who are simply here for a profit, not a bad thing by the way, but if they are not going to align with the ambitions of the fans, then why are the fans persistent with it? Well, it's because they'll go and get a Gakpo in January and you'll forget about the fact they never bought no one in the summer. Or when we won the Champions League and the Premier League, what did we do? Did we kick on and invest and get squad depth and get new players and the future? No, we didn't. What did we do instead? We went and bought Adrian. So here's the score. We can blame the owners, but here's the score. They're here to make money. They're here to add another zero into their bank account, which guess what? They are doing sublimely, by the way. What's the manager here to do? He is here of a role of a head coach to appease to the expectations of the owners. Oh, and he has more than exceeded those expectations of the owners. So let's go down to the players. Do I think they can run more in games? Oh, absolutely, they're lazy bastards. And this is someone who does YouTube videos on a day-to-day basis. But I am calling them a lazy bastards based on the standards of what they've set in, what they've shown in terms of running distance over the course of a game. And it's absolutely unbelievable to see the amount less that they're running. And even me, I'm earlier on in the week thinking, all right, all these people are saying I'm negative. All these people are saying that I'm being like Arsenal fan TV back in the day. And I'm not looking at the positive too much. And then, I just thought to myself, okay, how come I should put in the positivity or put the effort in to be positive when these players won't even put the effort to maintain the standards that they've set for themselves? Why am I going to put in the effort when they don't put in the effort? That doesn't make too much sense to me, especially when I'm a paying customer. The streaming sites that I tune in to watch these games, I'm a paying customer. The games that I go to buy tickets, I'm a paying customer. Therefore, I have somewhat of an obligation to an opinion, which is why all football fans have an obligation to an opinion. I don't think it should be abusive, which I don't think I have been, but constructive, honest, brutal. Because guess what? That's the way that you get to answers within football and within business. Within life as well, by the way. If you lie to yourself in life, then you're not going to get very far, you know what I mean? It's like when people say, like, oh, I'm unhealthy because I can't be, like, oh, my brain doesn't want to. No, listen, mate, you're unhealthy because you're being a lazy bastard. When I get fat, I put responsibility on myself. If I make a bad YouTube video, I put responsibility on myself. If I have a dispute and I think later on down the line I didn't handle that dispute the way I wanted to, I will hold the accountability for myself. If I'm a manager of a football team, I will hold the accountability as a manager and tell the players to hold accountability on themselves based on the premise that they were the ones performing and they were the ones who got that result. So I don't care if these players have been playing 3 games a week, week in, week out, this, that and the other. We haven't had investment. We've had to use these very same players. And the players right now are complacent. They're not putting in the hard yards like they had to. They haven't got the incentive. They've made the hundreds and hundreds of grands, and I feel like we demonise footballers for sitting back when they make a bit of money. Have we forgot that we're humans? Have we forgot that the whole premise of when you come from a poor background, or even a rich background, but you've got an element of something to prove? There's incentives. When you're from a rich background, you're trying to impress your parents and you're trying to impress everybody. When you're from a poor background, you're trying to become rich. There's always an incentive. These footballers, them incentives go very, very quick, very, very soon. And this is why I put an emphasis on always having to bring in new players. But it's us, the same Liverpool fans, who haven't done FSG protests since the Super League. Even though we were fuming at the time. Don't worry guys, we've signed Gakpo. Oh, don't worry guys, we've signed Diaz. Oh, don't worry guys, we apologised. But we're still not protesting. We're still going to the games. We're still paying the same ticket prices. And we're custy with everything. Not taking any action for yourself. So who's the person to blame here? Yeah, you can blame the owners even though they're doing their job. Klopp, you can blame him even though he's doing his job. You can blame Henderson, Milner, even though they're fucking 35 plus and should not really be playing at this level, but are forced to play at this level because of the incompetence at the top. Who has to persist with the incompetence for the top to remain? It's us, the people that breathe the life into the football club. And Manchester United have just been through this same very thing. I'm very much... One thing I'm impressed with United fans, more so than Liverpool at the moment, is that even through their winning, the voice of letting their owners out is still quite loud. It's not as loud as it was last year, so that's then got to be told to other Manchester United fans, but they're still maintaining the voice. I don't see any banners in the ground saying FSG out. I don't see any main content creators calling FSG out. And to be honest with you guys, I've already ruled out the possibility of me being able to interview footballers because I'm going to keep saying this until they do. And it's not even off transfers alone. It's off the fact that they lie about wanting to compete and wanting to achieve these things. Like, for instance, when we won the Champions League, I'll go on. We'll go and buy more now, we'll go and do this. What did they go and do? Absolutely fucking nothing. And then we go and fall back into the dump. Over time, slowly but surely, and then again a rebuild very much needed. And again, it's just... The main thing for me was the Super League. That was the cut-off point. That's when I was like, how are we even contemplating the idea of these guys remaining? The same way City fans agreed with their owners staying, and United fans agree... Well, they don't agree as much. Chelsea fans, everyone. Chelsea fans were still all over fucking... Abramovich's knob when he was trying to join the Super League, and he were like, it's all right lads, you've made us relevant. Have you forgot about the roots of which your football club was built? And I get it, I fully get it, football's dead, I'm fully onto it, but the fans can still have an influence. And when you neglect your own intelligence, when you neglect your own thought process based on what they're telling you, based on the transfer rumours, based on oh, don't worry, we will go again next game, this, that and the other. Oh, don't worry, he'll be good soon. Oh, I'm fucking sick of it. Oh, don't worry, Salah hasn't been crap because he's got 10 goals this season. You statistical merchants. I can't be arsed with it. Living life off stats. Living life off stats. You should have stayed in a classroom. I'm fuming because I'm the negative one. I'm the one who's being a knobhead. I haven't said anything too bad. I'm just calling out the players. They've been lazy in comparison to their own standards. If you compare them to me, then yet they're still superhuman athletes. But I'm not tuning in. I am not paying my hard-earned money to watch people who are average, like me. I'm there to see greatness. I'm there to see awesomeness. And I follow this team week in, week out ever since I was a baby. There's a little bit of a different passion there. You get what I'm saying? And when you don't see the effort, you've got to blame the players. When you don't see change, you've got to blame the manager. And when you don't see improvement, you've got to blame the board. And when you see overall... them people still in the same places, because it all stems from the board, you've got to blame the fans. You've got to. Especially the ones who so care and this, that and the other, and the people who call me negative, but then will. For instance, when we signed Naby Keita, all the love in the world for Naby Keita, you'll never walk alone. 6 years later, everyone hates him. And this is why I tell people to be careful on certain players who join the club and trying to hold too much expectations. Because they're not coming to a club who's looking to compete constantly. They're coming to a club where there's always holes. Unless you are Jurgen Klopp and unless you sign 5 players from the Coutinho money you made and they all go right. But that doesn't happen more often than not. And remember Manchester United, when they got the youth academy through and the class of 92, and they relied on that solely. The only other improvement that they made was just big signings. Short-term signings like Robin van Persie, 2 seasons and he'll be gone, and then before that as well. It's mad to me, people, that we're in this position, but when you see how the events have unfolded, you can't be surprised. Anyway, I know I never talked about the game there, but we need to really identify what the main issue is, and to be honest, until people start waking up to bigger issues at hand, just remember they tried to take away the heritage of the football club, and if I'm an evil bastard for wanting to maintain that, then I'm sorry. Maybe you can call me an old mind of folk who wants to stay with some traditional parts of football, and I get football's always going to evolve, it's always going to change, the Super League's still going to happen, and this, that and the other. Does that mean I have to just accept it? No, I don't want to accept it. And I don't think any fan should. I think you're well within your right to talk about anything. And again, if that costs me interviews in future, I fully get it. If that costs me a lot of money in the future, I get it. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone. But the amount of fucks I give couldn't be anything more than what I've been seeing recently, which is nothing. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video, and leave a like if you want. If you don't like it, smash a dislike and do what you do. Much love.